Hey Alex, I assume it's Alex anyways. I just thought I'd do this short little video here. I hope it's short. Might help you a little bit on your texture wrapping. I'm just using the balloon guide to show you, give you an example of how this stuff works. You can barely see it up here on the top is my PNG textures that I use when it was all said and done, the happy and the clown. The biggest one was this vivid balloon. If I open up Photoshop here, if you look at it from a distance, you can kind of see a repeat. But I built up one section first to the point where I figured it would be easy to tile, and then did my tiling, and I built up this 4096 by 4096 plate. It actually started as a 8K, which would be 8192, I think it is, by 8192, because I wanted to get the right. I wanted to be able to size this down and get the right size. So this is actually started out as an 8K, and I dropped it down to 4K because that's what the double ender uses. I also have a set. This is where I started from. This was my balloons, and then into a group, and a group split apart, and then the small tall group here. And I use these for cover-ups around the fuselage. So I've actually got two sets here of textures that I can use. This was the happy that I found on the internet somewhere, and it was part of a big party thing, and I had to redo some of the letters. It wasn't too hard to do. And then, of course, the clown come off the internet as a free download thing that you use. But I changed some of the colors. I brightened them up, made it my own as best I could. So that's where I started with. So you don't need to see these guys anymore. I'll just close this out. I already have Blender started. I took the white model that it comes with. It's got the darker textures in it, and I just lightened them up so that this was a base model that I could use as my canvas to get started with. So I use that all the time. But I'm going to use primarily the number pad over here. So 3, that gets me to there. 9 will flip me around. Go back to 3 and go to 7. That'll give me the top. Go back to 3. Or if I was at 7, I could hit the 9 key and that flipped me to the bottom. You can get rid of all this junk out of here if you want to. You don't have to have it in there. Makes it for easier painting for you. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go back to 3. Alright. I figure I'll start with the wing real quick. Let's see. I'll go to 7. That'll give me the top. And what I'm going to do, you could just go completely out of here, but I like to be able to, in other words, you can enlarge just this screen, but I like to be able to go back and forth and look every once in a while. It's not even on the right one. But I'm going to select the center part of the wing. I'm going to go to texture paint. And you see now I'm on the right plate. I'm going to go up here and get rid of the UV textures because they're just in my way. Turn those off. And so now I got my wing. Slide this back over again. I'm going to go to 7, which will give me the top. And I'm bring this guy up to where I can see what's going on. And I'm just going to worry about one side. Okay? So, and I'll leave it just the way it is. Now I'm going to go down here to the bottom of the checkerboard. And new, I'm going to go open. I will go to my desktop. And this is the main one I wanted here, this Viva Balloons. So I'll click on that and open it. Alright, now, I already kind of pre-did this to make sure everything was working right. So it's automatically showing up. What's going to happen is the first thing that you want to do is you want to go down here to texture. This won't be open in the start, so you have to open this up. And then go down here where it says mapping, and you want to make sure that it says stencil. Because when it first opens up, it's in 3D, I think. And as you can see, there's no stencil over here at all. So I'll go back to mapping. Or no, it's on tiled. That's right. It's on tiled, so there's nothing over here. So I'm going to go back over here and go down to Stemples. Now it shows up. I'm going to bring this over. And the reason I do this big old huge 40 by 96 or 4096 by 4096 because I want to get a certain size. Once you get used to, work on practicing to get into where you can do your controls. You could make another plate that's upside down so you have to twirl around. I don't. I just you hold down your control key and your right mouse button and you just rotate it around and get it about where I want it. And then if you use your shift key and right mouse button, you can adjust it up or down. And don't worry that the edges are looking a little rough. I'm going to get this right to the tip of the wing, and so I know that it's going to go underneath of this joining rubber over here. Bring it down. I'll just look around, and easiest for me to bring it up here so I can see how square I am. I'll go back down to my control key and adjust it a little bit to where it looks square, and I want a little bit of an overhang right there, and that's where I want it. Now, the next thing is your symmetry. When I paint this, I'll get a little bit large. I don't want to get too large on my brush because sometimes it can slow you down if you're too large. Take it up to right about here. And then I'm going to go over here and go down to where it says symmetry. I'm going to hit the X on here. That should be the only one I need, but I'll do a test. I'm just going to go across here. And rather than to hit my middle mouse button and rotate anything here, I don't want to move what I got. So what I'm going to do is go up to layout. And then layout, I can move it around. And you see I'm not on the bottom. So I'm going to go back down here to my texture paint. And let's try the Z and see what happens. Let's run across here. Alright, and I'll go back over here to layout. And I'm going to rotate it, and boom, I got it on the bottom, and it is facing in the right direction. Okay, so I can just hit the 3, 7. I got to be in screen. Hit the 7 key. There we go. I could slide that over too, but I'm not because I want to be coming back to this. All right, so I know it's working right, and I know I've got my selections right. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go back into texture paint. And I'm going to go Control Z, and Control Z until I don't see any more brightness of paint. Alright, that looks like it's all gone. If you want to double check it, it's easy. Just go back to layout and look, there's nothing on either side. Alright, I'll go back into texture paint. Now, I know that's working on both sides, so I'm just going to go across. Now, on this one, there's stuff hidden underneath the slat, so make sure you go all the way down to the bottom, even though you don't see anything happen, and just rub back across this wing like it's happening right here. Okay. And I like to do it, let go of the mouse button and then come back and go over it again. I like to make sure that I get everything, because sometimes, like on these rounded in the front, if you don't get a good coverage, it's going to show up later on when you're messing around in your 2D spot. So now I want to make sure, and you can't do both sides on this particular airplane. You can't do both sides at the same time because I don't have it grouped and it's all in pieces. Now, if you wanted to go through the hassle, if you wanted to use my subset that they just included where I've got the wings are grouped, then it would paint the identical same thing on both sides of the wing. If I'm doing stuff like camouflage, I don't want to do that. Maybe even here with the balloons, because I don't want it to look really completely duplicate on both sides. Top and bottom, all the parts of the plane, yes. Do not, at this point, move anything. Don't change the size. Don't use that middle mouse button at all if you can help it, because if you do, you're going to change the size of the things. The thing that Stoll Addict said about using the 5 key and panning around, I have found that works great if you're doing lines that you need to go across the surface and maintain the thickness of the line and stuff. But when it comes to textures like this, I don't use it because it doesn't do me a whole lot of good, in my personal opinion and my findings. So what I'm going to do now is I've got all these pieces, so I'm just going to go back to the layout. I'll grab the leading edge, go back into texture paint. Now this is where you got to remember, you got to maintain that continuity and hit your symmetry each time. If you don't, you're not going to get it. Now these leading edges are in 2 or 3 different pieces. I will go back to the layout and I'm going to go to here, texture paint, and I will grab that piece again, the symmetry, X and Z. And you can play with this XYZ thing and see what it does to different. It reacts differently on different surfaces. So get whatever works for you. All right, I'm going to layout, go to the end cap, back into texture paint. I'm going to do the end cap, make sure I get good coverage. And I didn't reset. See, I need to go down here and do the X and Z because I didn't pick up the bottom of it. I know that already without even looking at it. Just go back over and do this. Okay, now layout, go to the aileron, texture paint, X and Z. All right, do the old painting here. All right, back to the layout and go to here. Get all these little pieces. Back to texture paint, X and Z. Okay, layout, and back to the texture paint, X and Z. Okay, layout, go to the flap, back to texture paint, X and Z. Now there's one more piece that is kind of hidden from the top that you can't see, and so what I'll do, and I'm going to do some double checking at the same time to make sure I got everything. I'll go back to layout and I'm going to flip her down here. Now you can see I didn't get my center section because I guess when I went back into talking to you I didn't pick that up. So let's go back and fix that real quick. Go to layout, texture paint, X and Z. Basically, you want to make sure that you double check these things before you ever move on, because it's almost impossible to line things back up again once you've moved on. And you see over here that I'm picking it up now. Double check and go over everything. All right. Now the hidden piece on this wing is this little strip right in there that you don't see and you can't get from the top. And if you also see, I missed some stuff over here, so I'm going to have to go over that center section again. But let me get this strip right here. I want to go back to texture paint, X and Z to make sure I get it. And it's right about in this area right here. Go over that a couple of times. I'll go back to layout. Yep, I got it. Alright, let's go back and click the center section here. And texture paint, it's right out here that I'm missing. X and Z is selected, yes. Alright, up and down a few times. Make sure I get everything all the way across there. Alright, let's go back to layout and check it out. It looks like I got it all. I do. Now, if it's important to you, I'm not going to worry about this inside leading edge here. I can take care of that later. Did I get the end cap? I got the end cap, and I got all around there, and so forth and so on. Now, you noticed it didn't get this little strip across that. I guess that's just in the way the texture's designed. You take care of that in Photoshop or whatever you're using for 2D, and I can come back and do that later. The important part is I got everything, and I'm pretty sure I got everything. I'm going to go back in here one more time, and just to make sure, I'm going to go across this front edge here to make sure I got everything underneath that slat because that was a problem area in a couple ones that I did that I didn't quite get that. But it looks like I got everything. Now, just to show you, when I rotate this, I'm going to hit the middle mouse button and I'm going to rotate. Now, there's no way to line that up. If I hit the 5 key to bring it back to its same size, I'm still, good luck lining all that up. That's not going to happen. They might say it is all day long, but every time I hit that 5 key and get it back to the same, it's just not happening. So that's what I say. Don't move anything until you're sure you got what you want. And I wouldn't move it if I was going to go from side to side, because it's almost impossible to get back to that same size now. If I go, let's see, let's go to 3, let's go 7. All right, even though I got, I hit the mouse button again. All right, now I can try to bring that back in line. I can take this and try to move it back in and get it matched up, but with this much detail, good luck, almost an impossibility. So you see the kind of problems that you run into. I just don't mess with it. I get everything, I get it set the first time. Now, where it does get a little kind of tricky on you, let's see if I can come up to some kind of, I'll try. Let's do shift key, right mouse button, and I should be able to get kind of close. Let's move this up here. Let's see, I got a yellow right there. That's close. A little bit of adjustment. That's about as close as I'm going to get for this instructional thing that I'm trying to show you. Now, how do I get to the other side and get a fairly good deal? All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take, here's the hand tool, and I'm going to very gently grab that hand tool and try to maintain the same height and just move this across without touching anything else. Now that should be in about the right place. Now I can take this piece with the right mouse button and I can kind of move it back. And this doesn't have to be super critical because I'm about the right size as what was on the other side. And then do it all over again without moving anything. So now hopefully that gives you an idea of how I get all the pieces covered on the wing. Alright? Let's move on. Let's go to something a little bit harder. I'm going to go to 3. Let's move this over. I'm going to, not that, I want to be, let's see, yeah, Alt, get my head together here, what I'm doing. Oh, there we go. Mouse button, dummy, without pushing it down. Just the scroll. The scroll wheel. Get my brain working, functioning properly. I'm going to move this kind of out of the side. And I want to move my fuselage over here. I'm going to get it right to about there. And I'm going to use the scroll wheel. I want to kind of... darn it. I want to... Come on. Left mouse button for the fuselage. Right mouse button for the texture. Left mouse button. Alright. I need to get the tail and the front part of the fuselage here. Now I will right mouse button and move this guy over to here. And I don't want to get this too large. But if I move this, I'm going to go to the shift key and enlarge it just enough to get over the end of that tail. Because it moves exponentially on both ends. So if I move it slightly. Okay. Now, they're upside down. Control key. Rotate it back around. Get it fairly lined up. It doesn't have to be critical on the fuselage. But I'm going to be working on both the pod and the fuselage. I want to get those all at the same time. So again, I need to line that up so it's fairly straight. That works for me. Okay. Now, I don't want to move anything I got here. This is the way I want it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I got my layout. I'll move this back around. I'm going to click on the fuselage, and I'm going to go texture paint. And I'm just going to go across that thing, and you notice it slowed down a little bit. Okay. And it moved on me. Why did it move on me? Control Z. Okay. Everything moved. There we go. Hopefully this isn't too boring for you. Okay, I will go back out to the layout, and guess what I didn't do? I did. It's actually it's on there already. I got both sides because I did have the symmetry. I forgot to check it, but it was already set. Alright. See, when you're in layout move, you can move this around and look at things, and you're not going to mess anything up. But you see on the bottom how I got that overlap? It ran over pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with the way that turned out up front and stuff. The top, though, is there, but it's not perfect. And I had the same problem on mine with this. I didn't get anything up in this area, but that's all right. I fixed that. But now, if you can see, I get up here close. See how it distorts the balloons when it comes over the edge? Okay, now, in Stoll's suggestion with all that 2 pages of stuff that I never read in the first place, if I go back into my texture paint, or go back into the texture paint, and if I hit, let's see, let's use, I don't know if it will work or not. No. I don't like to use, if you use the 1 or 2 keys, you still got to move things back in. But then if I hit the 5 key, I'm still not where I want to be. It's still a problem. And if I come down here, let's focus. He may have developed a better way to use that. For me, I haven't had any luck when doing this kind of stuff. So you have to experiment and come up with your own thing. You can, but on something complicated like this, there is no way I'm going to match up these balloons. I might get close to it over here, but not to any kind of satisfaction. And then you see the distortion I have up here. I will come back in later on and do some things here. But these are some of the problems that you're going to run into. Let's go back to 7.3. Let's go back to 3. Get my side. See if I can bring it down and get it clearly close to where I had it, because I didn't do the tail pieces. But you get the idea of some of the problems that you run into. I got a yellow balloon next to a blue. See if I can get close to it right there. Is there a red one in there? No, there's not. So this is where it becomes a problem now once you've moved it, trying to get it lined back up. Okay, I'm not going to get it because I've moved things around. I can try, but let's see. I got a blue, yellow, and an orange right there, maybe. Yeah. That's pretty close. That's almost there, but not quite. There's red. So, anyway, I'm glad I did that because it showed you kind of the problems that you're going to run into. I could play around with this and probably get it fairly close back into, but I'm not going to. Let's just go up to here, and I'm going to select the engine nacelle. right there. And texture paint. Now, let's just move this up here. And I've got, I'm just going to throw this into the wind. Do I have, yeah, I got an X. It should do it. Make sure you go all the way across, up around the top. Okay. Come down here. I think that's part of it. I'm not sure. No, it's not part of it. Let me go. Did I get both sides? I think I did. Okay. Yep, I got both sides. All right. Let's go. I moved it. Oh, darn it. All right. I'm pretty much done with it anyways. So, if you see how distorted let's move this off out of the way. You see how distorted this balloon is right here, and how big they are here. What I'll do in this area a lot of times is I'll move this up into place and get it real large. And I want my balloons to conform to this area a little better. So yeah, I'll move this back over. I got a fairly close match here in balloon size. Maybe it needs to be a little bit larger. Let's just increase that a little bit. And it's really hard to see. I've got a red balloon right there. So let's make this a little bit larger here. I don't want to get it too large, but I want to get close. I got a red and a red, green, and then a yellow. Come up with something that's close. Okay, there we go. Red, there's a yellow, a green, and a red. But then that red's going to be too small. So you come up with something that's a little close. Look off to the side here where you got the yellow, blue, and the red, and see if you can come up with something that's close to that area. Blue and green. These are just some of the problems that you run into. Trying to find something that's close to it. Maybe that would be close to it. Anyways, what I'll do is I can see this vent right here, and I want this area right here. I'm going to make my brush a lot smaller because I don't want to go over these edges as best I can. I want to stay right in this area right here. So what I'm going to do is go up here to the fall off, and so I get a clean edge on that fall off. My brush is okay because I want a free movement. See, now I get it right up to the edge. So I'm going to come right. I'm trying my best not to go over that edge because the minute I do, it's going to distort and put a big old patch across that I don't want. And then I'll come right down along this edge. And you see, it's filling the other side too because I do have the symmetries on. Come back across to here, and I don't want to overlap. I want to get right up and butt up against that as best I can, and I want to stay right along here because this is where I'm going to have problems. Maybe get the edge of that balloon right there. Come back and maybe the edge, follow that one balloon right there. Maybe I could do this balloon. Try to get right along the edge of it and bring that in. Alright. Alright, now I'm not going to move anything. I'm going to go back to the layout and take a look at it. And they're a little smaller, but that's all right. If I could spend a little more time and get these balloons exactly matched up, they're not too bad up here. and I could move around over here and take a look and see what I got. And that's fairly close. Again, the balloons aren't matched up over here because I'm not taking all. I'm just trying to show you how to do things. I got a fairly good deal up here. Now I'm going to come back in with individual balloons. In fact, why don't I do that right now? I'm going to, let's see, let's go back to texture paint. And I'm going to get rid of that guy. And I want to go back down here. And new. And I'll go open. Go to the desktop. And I'm going to select this guy right here. So I got all these individual balloons here. Now it's easy for me. Let's say I want, I'm right next to a yellow. Let's do, that's a green one. I don't want a green. How about a pink? Let's put a pink right over it. And I'm going to use the shift key to make it smaller. And I'm going to bring it up here. And let's do, maybe rotate it a little bit. I'm using the control key. And I'll just paint that balloon right in over there. Now I just covered a big old spot, problem area. I got another problem area right there. So what if I take a blue balloon, and a little over the top. So let's, I'm going to grab my middle mouse button and I'll rotate this down a little bit. And I'll put that blue balloon right there, and I kind of want to get that top. I would have probably already done this top piece so that I'm blending in that. But now I have a blue balloon on both sides. Okay. So we'll go back to layout. Take a look. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, that's not too bad. I have balloon right over. I still got a little bit of distortion on the top, but I could come back in and use an eraser and erase that out, and then take that balloon and push it, position it over that, and get something a little bit better. But these are the problem areas that you're going to run into, and that's just how I fix them. I got a problem area right here in the back where it meets. In this case, I would turn off symmetry. You could come back out to the, I'm at modeling. I'm going to click this and hit the H key to hide it. Get it out of my way. Then I'll come back in. I will select this area. Texture paint. Let's go to, let's see. What do I want? 3? How about 7? 9. How do I get the back? 1, 3, 1, 7. 1, 9. There we go. Alright. So you see there's a bit of experimentation and playing around until you get it right. That darn tail's in the way, but that's okay. I'm going to find my thing here, and let's do the orange one's the quickest. Let's just rotate that up. I'll put it right there, and let's make it a little bit bigger. That should fit. And I'm going to make sure that my symmetry is off because I don't want it to double paint. I need to go back up here to the wrenches, go down here to the symmetry and turn that X off. Now I can just paint this in that place. Okay, I'll go back out to layout and look around, and look, I covered that spot up. So maybe this will give you some ideas. You see up here on the wing where these pieces are white. Now what I do to fix that, let's see, I don't want to save my texture into my stuff I already got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image, and I'm going to go save as. I'm going to select my desktop, and I'm going to rename this to, how about training? That way I'm sure I don't mess anything else up. I'm going to save as. Okay, that's the fuselage. I can do, I need to go back into no, I can select this guy. Go back to texture paint. And let's go to back to our texture paint. I gotta be in texture paint. Okay, come on. Image. Save as. Let's go to training. Save image. Let's see, desktop. I'll make sure I'm on the desktop. And save image. Alright. I think I got them both saved. Now if I hit the X, there shouldn't be any files up here that's telling me other than Blender, so I don't save. I'm not going to go back into Blender. So now at this point, on the wing, I want to open up the wing. Alright. Something happened. I didn't get the complete set on the wing. Oh, because I only did the one side, didn't I? Alright. Well, I can still show you. I'm going to open this up with Photoshop. Alright, now, you remember we had a problem with that gap up in the front? Alright. Let's see. I have to remember. Okay, here is a wing panel. And if you'll notice right here, there's quite a gap from here to the front. Alright. So how I fix that, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to grab my, let's see, I can either grab the box or I can grab this guy. And I'll probably go up here close. Let's see, let's make this full screen, give me a little bit more here to work with. I'm going to click just inside this line, right at the edge. And I'll just go all the way down to here. Coming just inside the edge. I'm going to go all the way to the back. Because what I'm going to do is going to distort this a bit. I missed it. So I'm going to make sure that I get my slight distortion on the whole wing and not just part of it. Now that I got this selected, I'm going to go Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste Special, Paste in Place. Now I'm going to work on the piece I just pasted. Control T to select it. That way I am distorting this copy and not my original. I will slide that all the way out to the edge. Okay, now you see it moved it just a hair here. Look at this gap over here. There's nothing showing, so I don't have a problem there. Alright, and it didn't pull that in far enough to where I have to worry about it. So I'm going to select and buy that, and that's good. And then the other wing is right here, so my recording thing is in the way, so I can't move over. But I would do the same thing to this edge right here. Same exact. Move it up into that gold area, and that will take care of that gap in the front. There's other places you got little gaps. This is the trailing edge. No, I'm sorry. This is one of your slats. So again, you see how it's split there? Do the same thing here. Copy it and then just use that piece to come over. You got a little bit of gap here. You can do the same thing with there. These are some of the issues that you run into when you're doing wraps like that. I wouldn't worry too much here. You'll run into the same problem when you do your ailerons and stuff. So hopefully that helps you, gets you an idea of how to do wraps. They can be quite tedious and laborious to work on. Let's see. I'm going to bring in the fuselage. Open with Photoshop. Okay, well, of course we didn't get our tail, but here's the top. Now you can bring that together. You can do the same thing we did there, copy this and then stretch them together, or you can just go in and paint. I like to use the clone tool sometimes. This is my clone tool, and I get a let's see, my brush size. Why are you not working? Probably because it's too big to begin with. You're not going to show my brush size, and I don't know why. I'm going to Alt here. Yeah, it's way too big. Let's see. Let's take the brush size down to about here. Usually it shows the diameter of my brush size. It's not doing that. That's close enough. So if I go right next to it and use the clone tool and the Alt key to select that, and I can come over here, and I can click and drag that out. Now it's not perfect. I kind of got to go back over to this other side and do the same thing. Hit my Alt key just to match that and then cover that up. But I still get a little bit there. So there's problems with using the clone tool. It's easier just to Control Z to grab a strip. On this one it don't really matter that much. I can go over here and grab a strip and just an area to show what I'm talking about. I'll grab that, edit, copy, edit, paste, Control T. I can either just move this over, but then I get this problem right here. So I will Control Z, move it back, and I'll stretch this to about the middle. Do that, and then I'm going to go edit. Let's see. Get back in screen here. Duplicate the layer. Okay, Control T. Edit, transform, flip it horizontally, and then I can move this across. Like so. Bring that into place. And then stretch it across or whatever I need to do to match them up. I get a fairly close match. Hard to tell. That works. So that gives you an idea how I do some of that stuff. I'm not going to save it. Nope. Nope. I don't want to close that out. Hopefully that helps you. Give you an idea of kind of some of the pitfalls that you run into and how to fix them. Again, I made both of these. I started out with the balloons first. I got individual balloons off of somewheres on the internet. I usually go to free sites where I know I can use them as long as I'm not selling them and distribute them to other folks. So that's how I do that. Where it really gets tedious is if you are doing Have a Great Dave just did the he just did the his set with the carbon fiber on it. If I open that up, let's go to liveries. And I didn't like any of what he had. I mean, great work, but I didn't care for the coloring and stuff. So I made my own little spy attitude. I got rid of the coloring and did some stuff. But just to show you, I'll go down to the wing. Yeah. When you're doing something like carbon fiber, you have to involve all three textures. So if I go back up here to the wing, the main wing. Okay. Now, if you come down here, you notice all that white checkerboard stuff. That makes up the carbon fiber. But if I also go to the norm, see, I got the same thing here. And the problem with that is both of those have to perfectly match. So it's almost impossible to do what they call a wrap. The way he's done this, to the best of my knowledge, and he uses GIMP. I don't use GIMP. But I can kind of tell by, and when I go down here and I look at some of these pieces that have been brought in here, basically what he's done, and got away with it, I probably wouldn't get away with it, he just made a 40 by 96, if you go up here to image size, yeah, it's 4096 by 4096 72. He's made a complete set, and in fact he did all three. He did the texture file, which is this, and he also did this is a different comp. I use my own comp, but he also used the comp file, so that they were perfectly matched. And then what he did was he grabbed everything that was important to make the individual components from the original normal file and just pasted them in place. And that's how he's got a lot of this stuff. He might have even done a what's called an overlay, where you take all those pieces and you bring them in and as another layer. And then there's a way up here on normal. This is the kind you would select overlay, or in the normal, right here is where the overlay is going to be. You'd select overlay, and it will pick up textures from underneath and then add them to that. So, but that's where that's come into, and you can't, stuff like this you cannot do unless you know how to do modeling in Blender or whatever you use in 3D Max or something. Unless you know how to add textures through layering, I suspect he may even, or someone he knows, I don't know, some of the guys actually use Substance, and Substance makes it so easy to add textures like this to various parts. I don't use it myself. Just a little background, I had my own business and I worked for a sign company doing major graphics. I was their graphics supervisor, ran the graphics department. And so we used various 3D programs, and at the time I was doing it, stuff was changing so fast. I mean, you know, you'd learn something, you'd spend 5 days learning something, and in the time it took you to learn it, it was already obsolete. Nobody using it anymore. So I hated that because I was wasting so much of my time, and I just don't bother with it anymore. I know how to do it, I just don't do it. It's, to me, it's a pain in the ass. I get enjoyment out of just painting and stuff. Anyways, hope all this nonsense helps you, and you have a great shot. And that'll be the end of this video. Go forth and prosper.